Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Thank you, buddy, and I want to wish a happy Father's Day to my dad as well.
Happy Father's Day to all the dads. Listen to what some of the people at Sons of Keturah had to say about their fathers.
Whenever I was little, my dad used to dance me around the living room to a Simon and Garfunkel song called Cecilia. And now that he doesn't do that anymore, he kind of does that emotionally for me, and he's always there for me.
Well, Daddy would always give us a hug. But the hug was one that felt like you were in a vice grip. It was such a tight bear hug. And it always made me feel like I belonged. I was his.
A personal story about my dad was, for the first time, he helped me parallel park. And it was a week before I had to take my driving test. Sorry, Dad. But it was very difficult because I wasn't getting it. But thank you, Dad, for helping me parallel park.
He used to tell me, don't become an engineer, find a job where you play sport and afterwards you can become a salesman and spend some time selling sports equipment and selling everything to do with sport and stay in the safe zone. So what did I do? I became an engineer and I actually ended up spending a lot of time underground doing work. But that was special what my dad did, because it didn't take me long to work out that in the back of my head he was not happy if he knew that I was down there. And it was time for me to move on. So I did change course and direction in what I was doing. But I always remember those special words. Don't do what I do for a living.
My dad, he got hit with colon cancer about seven or 8 years ago. And it was one of those life lessons on, you need to do colonoscopy. I mean, he was kind of scared to death of it, and he didn't want to do it. And all of a sudden he was going to have, having symptoms, and just odd symptoms. But it's just a testament to how kind of strong he was, because at the time I could see him wanting to give up and give in, and I know he had to, and I know the Lord helped in this, but I know he had to pull through because he knew that I think he knew his fathering wasn't done. He knew he's still, this was before I was married, this was before I had a child. I know he didn't want to pass away without having seen some of the just life events that normal people get to see. Just I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of the Lord taking care of him for getting him through those tough times. And 7 or 8 years later, he goes back every year to get checked up, and he's in remission. He's fine.
My father would wake up us as children in the mornings at 5 o'clock, and we had to read the Bible loud. He was not a very good reader, but he knew most of the psalm, and the psalm that had deep meaning to him. So when we read, it's like we are tracking them, and he would repeat them, and it would be so loud that all the people who were passing at that time would hear. And that would go on for 2 hours in the morning. When the Bible reading is finished, he would pray very loud. And what do you know? I have adopted that principle.
My dad has always taught me to do everything for the best of your ability for God.
Well, I have a very important and personal story about my father, especially on Father's Day, because back in 1994, on Father's Day, my father passed away. But God, by His grace and His mercy, allowed me, and me not even realizing it would be the last time that I saw my father, that I was able to tell him that I loved him and thanked him for raising me as a son and helping me become the man that I am today.
A funny story that I remember was our first family camping trip, and I think I was about 5. And my dad gave me a little bucket to go pick some blueberries right beyond where our campsite was, not knowing that he was just a few feet behind me. And I opened up the bush and started picking blueberries. And when I pushed my way into the bush, there was a baby black bear in the bush. And I remember feeding the bear the bucket and taking off for Daddy.
My dad has always told me to be a leader for others and always be kind to others and treat them the way you want to be treated.
be honest, be on time. By that he meant if you're 5 minutes early, you're late. Be forthright, read your Bible, and keep in touch with your Lord.
My father actually told me, son, whenever you buy a car, make sure the boots are good, meaning good tires. In the days when he grew up, the only safety feature of a car was his tires. There were no ABS brakes, there were no seat belts, and so everything relied on the tires. And he always used to say to me, whatever you buy, make sure the boots are good.
Well, there are three things that I remember that my father gave me advice on, that I've been living by them since he actually gave them to me. The first one is be a leader and not a follower. In other words, create your own path in life and not follow someone else. The second one is that you always want to do your best. Don't take the easy way out. And the third one would be that you always want to work for what you want. In other words, you have more value in it when you work for it.
Something special about my dad is that he always went to scouting events with me, and every time we had a Boy Scout camp out, he would always be there for me. And you could say that he got his Eagle Scout with me because he was always there for me.
Honesty is the best policy. Be always on time. Look people in the face when they're talking to you. Be a model of what Christ is. Read your Bible every day. Pray every day, because God answers and He listens.
My dad would say, be slow to speak and just be mindful of what you say and use wisdom in what you talk about and share with other people.
Whenever I'm home from college, my dad makes me breakfast every morning whenever he can.
My dad's always told me to be myself and to do my best. I remember growing up, I'd always have I'd have bad games sometimes, and sports were big in our family. And I'd always feel like I let him down after a bad game. And he used to always tell me, he's like, son, you're not letting me down. He's like, everyone has bad days, everyone has bad games. He's like, I just need to know you did your best, and that's all I ask of you, because I don't expect you to be the best on the field every game.
My dad was very caring. Whenever I am sick, he is the one who would get up at night to rub my back, rub my feet, and do all the necessary home treatment that he could for me to get well.
Well, one of the special things that my father always did is he made sure that there were fruit and vegetables in the house, because he wanted us to have good food and good opportunity to eat the right things.
What I remember most about my father being special is that he was always there for me. No matter what event I was doing in school, whether it was sports or a scholastic event, whatever the case may be, he was always there for me. He always provided words of encouragement. He was always there. He was committed to me, and he always gave me advice, whether I liked it or not. However, the biggest thing I remember most about my father is him being there for me, to support me, to guide me, and to show me exactly what it needs to be a man.
He taught us to be self-sufficient. We always planted a garden together. We always harvested it together and put up for the winter what we grew. He taught me how to do my own car maintenance, most of it, all by myself, so I didn't have to rely on other people. And that was one thing, is be as self-reliant as you can.
A special memory is I played a worldwide sport called cricket, and I used to play all-day games, and at lunchtime my father used to take time off from work, and he would come and stand at a fence, very similar to this in fact, and what he would do is stand there and watch. He never had time to come and spend the day watching, but I used to be playing, and when I looked up and I saw him standing at the fence, I knew who was supporting me. And I will always remember that. And honestly, I'd love to have that day happen again.
he's very hardworking. He's always preached that from when we were tiny. You know, it's not that we had to have jobs all the time, but I remember when I was 12 or 13, he just, you know, he's like, I'm not going to give you money to do whatever it is that you and your brother want to do.
Sons of Keturah. We are a nonprofit, non-denominational ministry based here in Katy, Texas. This ministry was inspired by God to help young fathers and fathers-to-be to become the men and fathers God created them to be. We address the spiritual, educational, and emotional needs of these young men and provide mentoring to help them to grow and become responsible family members, basing this on godly principles. So with that being said, I want to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day and make this day and every day a blessed day.